Petula Clark is more than just the sweet voice behind the iconic hit Downtown. She's a cultural force whose career has spanned over 8 decades, redefining what it means to be a star. Born in England, she first captured hearts during World War II as a child performer, becoming known as Britain's Shirley Temple, while lifting the spirits of soldiers with her angelic voice. But unlike many child stars who faded from the spotlight, Petula only grew stronger. By the 1960s, she had transformed into a global pop phenomenon, dominating the charts on both sides of the Atlantic and earning a reputation for being as polished and sophisticated as she was talented. However, behind that classic elegance was a daring, confident woman who wasn't afraid to push boundaries. On stage and in front of the camera, she embraced fashion choices that were bold yet tasteful, often choosing figure-hugging silhouettes, shimmering mini dresses, and striking colors that perfectly highlighted her presence without veering into scandal. Petula knew how to balance allure with class, always leaving just enough to the imagination to intrigue without overwhelming. Her performances and public appearances reflected this perfect mix of poise and boldness, with fans often surprised at the powerful energy she radiated from her petite frame, though at 5 feet 10 inches, she was far from delicate. She owned every room she walked into, commanding attention not through shock value, but through sheer charisma and control. Whether she was in front of a live orchestra or posing for a glamorous photo shoot, her radiant charm was undeniable. And while her voice is what first drew in audiences, it was her evolving sense of style, her fearlessness in expression, and her ability to stay relevant decade after decade that cemented her status as a timeless icon. Petula wasn't just wearing beautiful gowns or experimenting with fashion trends. She was making deliberate choices that reflected her artistic confidence. Her fashion was an extension of her personality, daring yet refined, modern yet timeless. Even when she surprised fans with more revealing or edgy looks, it was done with an undeniable grace that reminded the world she was in complete control of her image. She understood exactly what it meant to be a star, not just to sing, but to tell a story with every performance, every appearance, every photograph. And she did so while always remaining true to herself. The woman who sang about not sleeping in the subway or going downtown was also the same woman who refused to be confined to a single identity or sound. Throughout the years, Petula consistently defied expectations, proving she could be more than the sweet, wholesome pop singer people wanted to typecast her as. Her longevity in the entertainment industry is a testament not only to her vocal talent, but to her adaptability, intelligence, and relentless self-expression. Even now, at the age of 92, she remains a figure of admiration, not just for her music, but for her unshakable poise, her pioneering presence, and the legacy she's built through every bold choice. She bared it all, not in the tabloid sense, but in her artistic vulnerability, her fearless presentation, and her refusal to play small. Petula Clark embodied glamour without being distant, confidence without arrogance, and elegance without rigidity. She walked the fine line between classic and contemporary, never losing sight of her roots while constantly pushing forward. That's why people continue to look back at her old performances, her fashion moments, and her candid interviews with admiration and, yes, sometimes surprise. Because there was always more to Petula Clark than met the eye. She wasn't just a singer. She was a performer, a trendsetter, and a quiet revolutionary in her own right. Her contribution to entertainment goes far beyond the catchy hooks of the 60s. It's embedded in the fearless way she carried herself, the way she challenged expectations, and the effortless way she inspired both men and women to embrace their full selves. So, whether you're rediscovering her legacy or just seeing her in a new light for the first time, one thing is clear: Petula Clark is unforgettable. And if you've ever found yourself looking twice at those stunning old photos of her, captivated by her poise, her style, or the way she seemed to glow in any setting, you're definitely not alone.